Hi everyone, so we're going to jump right in with the DIYs, and the first thing we'll be making is a nest. This Spanish moss is one Dollar Tree option that you can use to make your nest. You'll also need something like this little glass bowl, also from Dollar Tree. This is what I'll be forming the nest around. We'll also be using some hot glue. For me, I will be using this new decorative moss from Dollar Tree to make the nest. I did go ahead and separate all three of the different pieces that you'll find in there. There's some harder pieces, that light colored moss. I only wanted to use the green moss, so I'm just going to add some hot glue to the little glass bowl and really press it in. I don't want it to kind of stick out. I want it to be very compact. For the inside of the nest, I will just add moss inside. I won't have to hot glue that. But I do end up adding hot glue to the edges of the bowl to help cover that because the moss wanted to either slide down into the bowl or out of the bowl. Now you can use one of these smaller cloches that Dollar Tree has. You'll find these in the garden section, I believe. I'm going to use this larger cloche that I found at the 99-cent store. It was $1.99. I'm just going to put the remainder of the decorative moss at the bottom, place the nest in the middle. If you wanted to add light, this is an option from Amazon. It has a lot more of the LEDs than you'll find on a strand of Dollar Tree lights, and the battery pack is very thin and easy to hide. For the next DIY, I saw these new brain teaser wood puzzles at Dollar Tree, and I thought these would make great beads for a bead garland. When you take it out of the package, it kind of opens up like this. The puzzle is to get it back into a square. So I'm going to go ahead and take all of the beads off. To string the beads, I'm going to use these worsted yarns from Dollar Tree. This one is in the color crepe, and the brown one is in the color chocolate. Some of the beads have holes that go straight from one side through the other, and these are the ones that I'm going to use for the garland. The other ones have these sideways drilled holes that will make the garland turn. So because I want a straight garland, I'm just going to pick out all of the ones that have the holes drilled straight through. And because I want it a little longer, I did go ahead and add pieces from a second wood puzzle. You can see how it opens up. So I just used the crepe yarn. I put a little hairpin through it. I strung the beads on. And then I made little tassels out of the crepe colored yarn and hot glued them to the end of the garland. And that's how it turned out. Of course, if you wanted it to be longer, you could use the pieces from a third puzzle. For the next DIY, I wanted to make another wood garland using these wood beads from this picture, also from Dollar Tree. I just cut them off from the back. And I use a total of 4 signs, the beads from 4 signs to make the garland. And we'll also be using the picture in a DIY. I just added all of the square beads that had the sideways holes drilled in them. And I just pushed them down where you couldn't see the holes. And there you have an instant trivet for hot pots or kettles. I strung this wood garland the same as I did the last, except for this time I used twine. I also used some different colored beads of the same size that I already had, and this is how it turned out. You could paint it if you wanted to, but I really love the natural tones of wood in this garland. For the next DIY, I took 2 of these plates from Target. They were 50 cents each. They come in a few different colors. I chose the pink. And at Goodwill, I found this really cute little candle holder. I believe it was $3, $2 or $3, I can't really remember. And I'm going to use that as the stand in between the 2 tiers of the tray. I'll be using E6000 as well as hot glue to adhere the candlestick holder to the trays. I'm going to turn the first one upside down, and I'll be gluing this part with the ridges of the tulip. So I'm adding E6000 to the high points that are going to make contact with the plate, putting that down and then adding hot glue around that. I'm gonna let that dry, move on to the next DIY, which will require one of these foam forms from Dollar Tree. Again, another pack of the decorative moss. I separated everything once again, and I broke apart the green moss in 2 smaller pieces. For this, I would recommend using a low temp glue gun, and I'm just going to pack on the moss pretty much the same way that I did for the nest, all the way around the bottom. It won't cover the whole thing, but we won't need the whole thing covered, and you will see why momentarily. So when you finish, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. To cover the top of it, I'm going to take a piece of this faux fur that I purchased from Etsy, wrap it around and hot glue it in place, and that's going to be the beard for our little garden gnome. That's what it looks like so far. For the hat, I decided to use one of the mini terracotta pots that comes in a 3-pack from Dollar Tree, and I used a large wood bead for the nose. I decided that I wanted it to have arms, so I'm literally just going to rip the arms off of this Christmas ornament gnome from Dollar Tree. Those were available this past Christmas, and I'm going to hot glue them in place. Let's see how everything turned out. I really wanted to mix up the tones between the natural wood of the wood bead garlands with the soft pastel tones of the pink tray and the other pink accessories that I decorated it with. That's a look at how the trivet can be used. So there are different tones of pink throughout the decor of the tiered tray, also dark greens. Those pink stones I found at the Target dollar spot. I also painted the Dollar Tree carrots pink and glittered them, tied them up in a bundle. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this DIY. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know by giving the video a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves tiered trays. I hope you all are taking care and staying safe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.